What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I got a special guest here, my boy CG. We're gonna be talking about the Snyder Cut that just dropped. We got the trailer, and yeah, I just wanted to break it down, talk about my initial thoughts, everything, and just overall share the hype with you guys that me and him
Yes.
been talking back and forth about this and how game changing this is for the DCEU. So yeah, we'll be focusing on that for today. So what'd you think, bro? What'd you think of that trailer?
Dude, it's almost like I'm speechless that this isn't what they want to use. This is what we were going to get from the very beginning.
Yeah.
This whole DCEU, MCU, this conversation completely changes. Completely changes. Like, I feel like that from this trailer, this is the movie that we were expecting.
Yeah.
This is what we were expecting from the very beginning
Mhm.
after Batman versus Superman. What do you think?
No, I mean, dude, like in my ranking video that I did like in the very start of my channel, Justice League, I'm pretty sure was my very bottom movie. Like I'm almost positive it was my last place movie. And it's
Mm-hmm.
such a shame because you got all these great characters. The first time we've seen Justice League in live action in all of history, and it was a bust. I mean, obviously, um, big shout out to Zack Snyder for giving it his all under the circumstances that he had to go through with his family. But
Yeah.
him coming back on his own accord, saying, "You know what? The fans have been asking for this shit. Let's do it." He basically, like my man Zack Snyder, pulled a Michael Jordan coming out of retirement for this one. You know, he was like, "Look, the fans have been asking for it. I never got to do my vision of this movie, and
Mm-hmm.
I know I can do the fans service. I could do them justice, and he's putting it out here for us. And if he would have put this out in the first place, the DCU would look totally different than the way it is now.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it just looks so sick. Like in terms of the even just like the slight things like the color aspect ratio, like down to like the most minute things. Um, it just makes his movie just look a lot more polished. And this is his final finished product. You know, it's not like he did the first half and then he was like, okay, well, I'm gassed out. I'm done with it. Now, like we finally see the whole thing. We see Dark Side in there. He looks amazing. We see Steppenwolf on his version of it. He looks like a legitimate threat, unlike just a piece of shit CGI character that we got. Um, we get some more storyline for Cyborg. We get to see the Flash in some scenes with Iris West.
And even if it takes you the rest of your life.
It's like there's just so much more in this movie, and I'm all for it, man. I don't even know what else to say.
Well, honestly, even from the trailer, like, dude, the trailer world builds better than the whole original Justice League movie did. Like, if you're gonna have an expanded universe, then your movie should expand the universe. And I think coming on the heels of Wonder Woman 1984, I don't think that expanded very much, even in her portion of it. And I think that this movie, regardless of what they do going forward, whether it's I'll ask eventually, like, do you want it to be canon or not? But assuming that it isn't canon, you get the same problem of we're getting movies and you're telling me it's an expanded universe and we're not getting any expansion.
Right.
So, seeing this, it's going to be tough to watch knowing like we have to sit and watch for a very, a long time, like the runtime's 4+ hours. For what? But I think the whole like for what reason is just what you said. Like the fact that Zack Snyder came back after everything that happened to him a few years back with his family, and the reason why, Joss Whedon ended up taking over and butchering the movie.
Mhm.
Like, Zack Snyder clearly had a vision, and I'm so happy that we get to see the completion of that vision.
Snyder Vision.
Dude, Snyder Vision, it will rival WandaVision.
WandaVision or Snyder Vision? That's the question.
That's funny. I think we finally get to see, like, come on, Superman in his black suit.
Yeah.
Bro.
Just
Like
so
the
much
flat-
like, things, dude.
So many things, like, we've just been dying for as fans. Like, forget about, the content creation and all those things. Just like as a pure fan, you want someone who's going to take those visions, those things that you grew up with, and just make it larger than life. And even at this point, like, you want to look up to those characters. You want to be like, that's my superhero. Those are my guys.
Yeah.
And to have someone who takes that and makes it and brings it to life, I'm so excited for that. I'm so excited to see what he does with, dude, his just the foot on the gas and just being like, bam, here it is. So, I mean, will it be canon? They say no. What do you think?
Dude, like I've had a conversation with you and a couple other people from work and stuff, like once I seen the trailer. I just don't understand why they wouldn't make it canon. Like, I even had this conversation with Natalie yesterday, because she was like, well, so is this like a completely different movie, or like what's going on? Like, for the casual viewers out there, like, if you've seen Justice League and then you go and watch this movie, right, the majority of the storyline will be the same. We can basically assume that the ending will be fairly similar. Obviously, the good guys win. They're gonna somehow beat Steppenwolf with the little teaser that Darkseid was the next villain coming in the background. So that the ending aspect will remain the same. But because of that reason, because the ending remains the same, nothing has happened in the first Justice League that propelled us forward. The only two movies that we have taken place in the chronological order past Justice League was Aquaman 1 and Shazam. At least that's all I can think of, because we just had Wonder Woman, but that took place before the events of Justice League. And Aquaman 1 and Shazam 1, they didn't do anything that expanded the universe like you were saying. So it's not like this movie is going to renege the events that happened in Aquaman or Shazam, because they haven't even done anything.
Right.
So like, as a fan, for the fans' perspective, as a business perspective, and just like overall camaraderie with the fan base, I have no reason to believe why they wouldn't make this canon. I can't think of a logical explanation onto why there's this much hype around it. We're so excited to see all these different things. Why can't they make it canon?
No, I agree with that too. And it's not like the actors who are like the core of the Justice League are so old, like the fact that they were able to come back. I think the only one who didn't do the reshoots was Henry Cavill, right? I don't know. I think the reports were.
I thought he did do some reshoots. I think there was one of them that couldn't make reshoots. I want to say it was Jason Momoa, though.
Even still, I mean, Ray Fisher, that whole stuff that's going on with him, and I mean that sucks for his character, and especially signing on to something this big, being like, dude, this is going to propel my career as an actor, right? Not just a character. Like, yes, I might like comics and I want to be a part of something like that, but dude, you're telling me Robert Downey Jr. didn't go off, Chris Evans didn't go off after having so much success in the MCU? Like, I would want to replicate that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I had a choice and you're telling me like, hey, Marvel or DC, which one are you picking? You got to be an actor. I'm like, give me DC. Like, I'm a DC guy over Marvel every day. I just think they dropped the ball personally, live action wise. But you got to assume that like this is going to be something that's going to put me out there, right? Gal Gadot. When you look at her now, do you think she's the chick from Fast and the Furious, or do you say,
I actually forgot.
Mommy, that's Wonder Woman? You know what I mean? Exactly.
Yeah.
So if they make it canon, I have a hard time believing, if the money's right, if the contracts are right, that they couldn't bring these people back.
Right.
Like they couldn't continue a Justice League 2, or even each person gets one more movie. Like to sign on a 2-movie contract or a 3-movie contract or 2 plus cameo, I feel like that's legit, you know. But like you said,
I think the issue that lies with this becoming canon is within Warner Brothers themselves.
Yeah.
So for example, Ezra Miller and Ray Fisher were signed on for I think a 4-year contract. Bro, The Flash had a little cameo in Batman vs Superman, and it was like little footage of him in a grocery store with some milk. And then you get him in Justice League, who was, first of all, very underpowered in comparison to like how I would have liked to see him and how I think he deserved to be done. And then we still haven't even gotten the Flash movie. I remember as soon as Justice League was announced at whatever Comic-Con it was, they were like, okay, yeah, we're working on the Flash, we're working on a Cyborg movie, we're working on Nightwing, we're working on this shit. And it's like, dude, it's taking you guys like 5 years to put out a movie. Like, for real, how many new directors did you go through? How many scripts have you gone through? So the issue is, at least that I can see happening, is this movie does really good. The studio is like, okay, you know what, we're going to make it part of the continuity. And then now we got to try to steamroll these movies out. We need to have a new Wonder Woman movie, a new Aquaman movie. Everybody on the team gets a movie, but how fast can we put that movie out? You know, like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's their biggest issue right now. Like Marvel puts out 3 movies a year, and then with the exception of last year, but this year we're having Falcon and the Winter Soldier, WandaVision, Loki. At the end of the year, we're getting the What If animated episodes. We're also getting Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Spider. Like, bro, that's like almost 10 products over the span of 1 year, and it's taking 10 years to make one. So I think it's just a problem. Like the studio is like nervous. The studio is really nervous to try to put in their money's worth, put in like, I guess, risk their money into a movie that might flop.
Yeah. Which then makes me think, like, just go all in on HBO Max. I mean, if you're already there, I would much rather see, if it takes you this long to work on a movie and you just get one banger, then throw out a limited series and give me origin stories. Because that's kind of what you're saying, like Aquaman origin story. Wonder Woman 1 and 2 are essentially just 2 origin stories. Like, if you keep just being like, this is who the character is, this is who the character is, do that during a 6 episode, 12 episode, however long it can be. Like, give them the budget and do whatever you want to do. Like, as if I have Warner's, bank account to say that, but still, then you use the streaming platform to establish your universe.
Yeah,
I think that therein, like, is the issue, is there's no, who am I gonna watch? Like, I got who's the Batman? I got Ben Affleck's the Batman, and then because of the how the universe runs, is storyline telling me that I should look at Robert Pattinson and then look at Michael Keaton and look at all these guys, or is it just because Ben Affleck's like, you guys have screwed me over so much, like, I'm done?
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, let's bring back a 1980s Batman and be like, the Burtonverse is canon now. And it's like, dude, I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
I don't want to see it. I'm sure you'll do a good job, but what we're gonna get in Justice League with Ben Affleck and the Flash and Ezra Miller and the things that they did, like, that scene sticks out to me so much when you see him come back in time, or that's what I believe it is, and he's like, help us, save us, that kind of thing, before the nightmares start.
Yeah.
Like, those answers are just sitting at the front of my brain all the time when I think about that. And I'm like, I want answers to that. Like, explore that. Give me something with that. Like, that's easy. That's easy. So, like you said, if Steppenwolf is the end villain and we don't even really get a dark side besides the flashback dark side,
Mhm.
Like, we're never gonna get Darkseid, and he looks fantastic.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Like we had a conversation on a phone. They make this movie. All right, we're gonna make a canon. Okay, pull a Marvel and put out. I'm willing to give you 4 years. 4 years to get to the next Avengers, next Justice League, right? So Snyder Cut releases 2021. You got 4 years, 4 years with 8 movies to get to the next Justice League, so that you don't have to go back to back, right? Because then now you're trying to scramble for more storyline, introduction of new characters without giving them the full story. So you get your next Wonder Woman movie, Wonder Woman 3, put her in present day, make the villain so she can have a crossover with Shazam or Aquaman, something like that. You get Aquaman 2, same deal. Another revenge story with Black Manta or some other bullshit. You get the introduction of Black Adam, The Rock. It's a period film, kind of like Captain Marvel in the sense that she had her events in prehistoric time or whatever. Not prehistoric, but earlier time. And then, somehow he makes it back to present day. You're on your third film. Shazam 2. Then you might be able to get another Superman movie in there or not, doesn't matter. You got to have Green Lantern in there. And then you can do like 2 new characters that never been introduced that might not even have a main part storyline in the next Justice League, just like a cameo scene or something. And that's it. You're good to go. Like, the problem is they try to rush it so much. Like, they introduced so much in Batman vs Superman that they were like, okay, well, now we have to really put out all this work without giving every character proper character development.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with that. And not to keep the comparison between Marvel Studios and them and using the MCU formula, but even look at that when you're talking, and you got me on this one, but Infinity War, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, Endgame, like, you took that 6-hour movie and broke it up and you gave us content in between. Like, could you imagine of having Infinity War and the very next thing you see is Endgame, or you're literally sitting in the theater that whole time for both of those? Like, there were so many extra layers that were added to make Endgame like even crazier. Like, we went through and we were like, all right, what's the hype? What's the implication? Like, the characters, like, all this is, it's like Infinity War was your peak movie. And then you look, and then that extra level, because of that first movie, made the next one that comes that much better. Like, to see that conclusion. So it's like, even now they could do it a little bit better than Marvel did, taking some of that formula that clearly worked and putting their own spin on it. But again, like, you need those characters you can sink your teeth into. And it's just like we were saying on that conversation, is like, if your main dude, like, if Iron Man snapped in the beginning and not the end, like, Batman or Superman snapped at the end of Batman vs Superman, essentially, right?
Right.
He's done. So now I'm looking at the rest of the characters who are there, and it's like, who's going to do it? Wonder Woman? And then you pull out another Wonder Woman movie, and you're like, is she going to get it done? No. Like, is Batman going to get it done? No. Is Flash? I don't even know what Flash can do besides, dude, pour you a good bowl of cereal with the milk that he's catching. You know what I mean? Like, you're not getting anything. And that's what I feel like is missing. And I feel like that the Snyder Cut would reinvigorate all that. I would get all that hype and get those character introductions and those origins out of the way. So now I can really quit moving horizontally and give me some vertical processing, and we're moving it forward. Like, everything is done. The whole flop happened. This is your repeat. Like, I'm okay with that. I personally am okay with that. In 2021, I don't care if you go back and say 2017, that wasn't canon. Dude, those people have been paid out. Those movies rerun. Like, they're getting their money still. Like, who cares? Tell me that this is the movie. And then go forward.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but who do you think of the cameos from the trailers and like kind of the things that we've seen? Like, who do you think would be that next character that like you've been excited to look for? We just haven't gotten live action wise. Well, a good version of them, maybe.
I'd have to say Green Lantern. I mean, I think one, I was like pretty let down that we didn't get any Green Lantern other than like during the first Darkseid War, like in the flashback when there was a few Green Lanterns in there. I was so hyped. I was like, "Yo, Green Lanterns exist!" And then flash forward to present day, like, "Yo, where they at though?"
Right.
But,
Right.
yeah, like I think it would be the easiest way to say it. Like they could literally just pull Green Lantern from wherever the hell he's at, pull up to Earth, like Bruce got sent from Heimdall, and be like, "Yo, Darkseid is coming," just like that part of the MCU, and then now you get his backstory in there. Oh yeah, I have I live on this planet Oa with, is it Oa? I think it is Oa.
Uh-huh.
I live on this planet Oa with all these other Guardians of the Galaxy, and we try to fight and try to stop all these people. There's otherworldly threats. He can name drop Lobo. He can name drop Brainiac. You know, like you could build so much of the world with just Green Lantern. All you got to do is say, "Yo, Green Lantern exists," and he knows about these people.
Yeah.
So I feel like his cameo would be my, like, just probably the best in terms of like world building. But I would also love to see Martian Manhunter. He was like one of my favorites
Yes.
from the animated Justice League.
Yeah.
Like, he's a boss.
Dude, it's so true. And like that's the one thing is I feel like this it's weird to me that they would do like Batman, who's probably your best Earth based for the most part, besides Flash and I guess Wonder Woman. But like you go from Earth base to Atlantis, who dude, that's like completely unrelatable. Like I personally don't even like water. I don't even look when my eyes are closed when I jump in. I don't know what the bottom even looks like. So it's like dude, like when it comes to underwater stuff like that, I can't even imagine that. So cool. I'm all for Aquaman's portion of the universe, but your best people are not from Earth. Superman, Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, like take me out there and go, because I feel like you can establish then, like now you have someone coming down, and I feel like there's still that gap. Like, yes, Darkseid is coming, and the only reason why I even feel like, oh, this man is someone to fear is because of the nightmares that Bruce Wayne had.
Yeah.
And I respect the Bat like crazy. So it's like, of course, if he's scared, then I'm probably going to be like, oh, he's going to mess something up. But you can't hang your hat on that and then expect all the other, you know what I mean? I'm like, well, Batman's scared. Like, why should Wonder Woman be scared? Like, Wonder Woman's darn near invincible. Like, why would Flash be scared? I don't know. Like, there's so many other things. Like, I just don't get why these characters would fear. Like, again, not to keep bringing it up, like when the Avengers came, the way that they introduced, like, if Thor is like, you should be scared, I'm like, okay, he's probably stronger right now than a lot of other people. Loki shows up, he's from Thor's world. The person who's above Loki is the person who's sending all this, who ends up being, you know what I mean? So like when you put all those strings together, you have a legitimate fear for the big end game threat, which in this case is Darkseid. But even still, Steppenwolf, like otherworldly in that sense. But even I feel like he should be the one, he should smash all of them too. So it's like, who steps up and gets him? There, I feel like in a small, contained world, like that's good if they do kind of how they finished in Justice League 1 and like you stop that big world threat, like, okay, boom, +1 credibility. You know, but like you said, I think having Green Lantern or someone come through is like, that would carry more weight. I guess that's what I'm saying overall is like, where do you put the weight in terms of your heroes to then kind of elevate the villain? And I feel like that's something that's really, really missing from the DCEU, that the Snyderverse in general did a little bit better of a job, but can do a really good job moving forward. So
yeah, I think
it'll,
even to that point, sorry to cut you off.
no, it's good.
They could just have like a post-credit scene. Green Lantern fights during a big fight. Post-credit scene, Green Lantern talks to them and says, "Hey, this dude lives all the way over here." Batman says, "Let's go fight him on his turf. We're not gonna risk the lives of everybody else on Earth. Let's go get his ass." The same way Iron Man was like, "Yo, we're gonna fight him on Titan. All right, let's go fight him on his battleground because that's what heroes need to do. We can't have all these civilian casualties just because we want to wait till he comes over here." And then bang, that's it. 4 years down the line, then you finally come back to that scene or whatever. I don't care.
No, and that's a good way too, is like, even if he is the leader and like the de facto leader of the Justice League, then use Batman in the sense of, yes, he recruited Earth-based people, but you got to think he's smart enough to be like, listen, I know that something's coming from way out there, and I want to build my team, my suit of armor around the world. I want to get the biggest, the baddest, and the best. That's not going to be here. Because you got to think that he is probably thinking like, yeah, I mean, I can get my own team, but we got to recruit someone from somewhere else. Like, there has to be something. And that's when you can get your origin stories. Like, you have Aquaman, that's like you're saying, like the prehistory kind of thing, like him, Black Adam, Shazam. Like, there's so many things that have happened before. Wonder Woman, like that. Using his detective ability, use it to discover and expand the universe instead of just figuring out like, who's the Riddler, who's Joker. You know what I mean? Like, really amplify what he's best at, and that's being a detective. Let him be a detective somewhere else. Let him use those skills to really build your worlds, because I think that's what's so limiting right now, is Earth can only handle so much. And at the same point, like, it's hard for me to believe that they pull it off without the director or screenplay writer just being like, oh, he gets stabbed and he's dead. You know, like, do something bigger, go somewhere else. So, I mean, going back to the whole thing in the beginning of the trailer and the whole breakdown, I just think it's set up beautifully what could come, and just the possibility of it being canon. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me is make it canon, but now just drive home movies. Like, just put content out there. Like, you can't just keep saving up for one big banger, and I'm supposed to sit here and be like, oh, I fill in the gaps with the rest, like, what's going on. That's just not it for me.
Yeah, so. No, I agree, man. Yeah, and I mean, I enjoyed talking to you, having a conversation about the movie. I know we definitely hyped this movie up when we were working out back in 2017. We would talk about different theories and shit, and finally getting to see Zack Snyder's Snyder Vision. I'm gonna get a shirt, hashtag Snyder Vision, bro. Dude. Yeah, man, I'm excited to see where they go with it, and I think, like, for all the reasons we've said in this video, there's no reason why they shouldn't make it canon. So I'm praying it does really well with the fans, the critics, everybody, that the studio is finally like, you know what, fuck it, let's keep this momentum going. Why are we gonna stop all this momentum? So
yeah, 100%. All right, dude. Well, I appreciate you having me on here. I'm looking forward to the upcoming stuff that we have, and fantastic channel. Keep it going. Good stuff coming down the line. I know you have some fantastic ideas, so I can't wait to see what else you got.
Yeah, man. Anytime you want to hop on a channel, just conversate. It makes it easier for things to flow. So I'd love to have you on more often. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.